G'day cocktail lovers, I hope you've been keeping well. Welcome to another cocktail colour variation. I love the name of this cocktail when I saw it. I stumbled across it on the Punch Drink website. One of a number of very good websites if you're ever looking for inspiration for cocktails and everything that goes around them. Punch Drink is quite a good site, and they had a variant on the Tiki Classic, the Zombie, called the White Zombie. And if you're of my vintage, you hear White Zombie and you're probably hearing Rob Zombie in your head going, more human than human. Or maybe that's just me, I don't know. But yes, a White Zombie. If you're not familiar with the classic Zombie, it's one of very well-known tiki drinks, and the summary of the Zombie is all the rums. There's a classic recipe, but I have to admit, when I make a Zombie, I tend to freeform a little bit and just go, use a few different rums in here, 3 or 4 different rums or rum-like liqueurs when putting together a Zombie. You may well be able to guess what a White Zombie variant is. It's a lot of different ingredients and they're all white spirits or liqueurs. So we end up with a White Zombie. We don't drop the rum altogether. There's some white rum in here, but some very creative substitutions. And a Zombie, and the White Zombie is no exception, has approximately 100 ingredients. Maybe not quite that many, but there's a lot of ingredients in a Zombie. And I actually don't have all the classic ingredients. I'm going to freeform a bit. I will tell you what the classic ingredient is, and I'll tell you the substitution I'm doing, because I'm a big believer in you shouldn't be frightened to substitute. It's not going to be the same, but cocktail making should be fun and you should be able to improvise a little. So let's work on it together, a White Zombie. The first ingredient is Pisco. If you're not familiar with Pisco, it's basically a Peruvian brandy. I believe there is a little bit of a fight about its actual country of origin, but it's broadly regarded as being Peruvian, Peru's national drink. And it is a very interesting little drink. Let's say it's a wine-based brandy, so it's not 100 miles removed from other things you've probably tried. But there's quite a few very good drinks you can make with a Pisco. If you've never tried it, it's worth getting some. I'm almost out, but there's enough for this one. 1.5 mils or 1.5 ounces or 45 mils of Pisco is going to go in this. And I'm almost out. I'm going to have to buy some more. The white rum does get a look in, somewhat predictably, I guess, in a White Zombie. It'd be white rum in a traditional Zombie, also in the White Zombie. This one is from the West Indies. I mean, use the one you have or the one you like. This just happens to be the one I have on hand. It's from the West Indies, St. Lucia to be precise. And we're putting in, again, it's 1.5 ounces going in, so 45 mils of white rum going in. Next up, we want to add 1 ounce of gin, a gin of your choice. I am going for Brogan's Way Navy Strength. That's what this is, 57.2% alcohol by volume. Because when I'm making a Zombie, I'll normally put 1 ounce of overproof rum in. So why not go for the overproof gin? Really zombify ourselves. So 30 mils or 1 ounce of the overproof gin is going into this drink. As is quite common for tiki drinks, there's lime juice going in. It's going to be 3/4 ounce, or about 22.5 mils, just to give it a little bit of acid balance, and just I love the zing lime juice puts into a drink. So 3/4 ounce of lime juice going in. We're also adding 3/4 ounce of Velvet Falernum. If you're not familiar with this one, it's a rum liqueur. It's comparatively low alcohol by volume. This is about 11%. There'll be some variation depending who's made it. I think this is the original. They certainly claim to be the original Falernum. They call it Barbados in a bottle. It's essentially a spiced rum liqueur, quite light, but it adds some great flavors into the drink. So with 3/4 ounce of Velvet Falernum. We're getting quite a few ingredients at this point. The classic recipe for a zombie calls for half an ounce of Don's mix, which for many years was a secret recipe known only to Don the Beachcomber, who invented the drink. It was subsequently found out it was basically like 50% grapefruit juice and 50% cinnamon syrup. So not actually that complex. Kind of like when we found out that Kentucky Fried Chicken honestly doesn't have 11 secret herbs and spices. It's mainly salt and pepper and the breadcrumbs. But I don't actually have a cinnamon syrup, so I'm going to freeform. I've got some grapefruit juice I squeezed earlier, and I'm going to do 50% that, and I'm going to use pimento dram, also known as allspice dram. It's colloquially called allspice because it tastes like all spices. It tastes like cinnamon and a whole bunch of other spices. So this is a fair approximation, just going with half an ounce. That's 50% grapefruit juice, 50% allspice dram. It's my version of a Don's mix. Never be afraid to improvise. That's my motto. The recipe also calls for half an ounce of passionfruit puree, which I don't have on hand. Another little bit of quick improvising on my part, which is of course going to make the drink different, but hey, you know, let's work with what we've got. I'm actually going to use a passionfruit liqueur, half an ounce, which is of course really different from passionfruit puree, but I'm making do with what's on hand. We're also adding 1/4 ounce of simple syrup. It's a pretty straightforward 50% sugar, 50% water mix. Nothing too extravagant. Very easy to make at home. You can buy it in shops, but it's so easy to make. It's a good idea to make your own. So 1/4 ounce of simple syrup going in the mix. A couple of final touches for the drink before we shake it. It calls for 1 bar spoon of maraschino liqueur. I'm honestly not sure if a bar spoon of maraschino liqueur is going to be detectable, but the recipe says, so let's go, 1 bar spoon maraschino liqueur. And finally, something I'm sure will make itself known in the flavor profile, even though it's only a bar spoon, going to add 1 bar spoon of absinthe. It becomes obvious to me with some of the substitutions I'm doing. This is absolutely not going to be a white drink. Added a good amount of ice to the drink, and now going to shake it. Good solid shake for 10 or 15 seconds. Sometimes you might be a little worried about dilution with shaking. Given what's in this, a little bit of dilution wouldn't go astray, so let's give it a good shake. Given the tiki nature of this drink, I'm using my tiki goblet again with a big chunk of ice. Use whatever glassware you like, maybe a tall glass with crushed ice, something that says tiki to you. Also, given some of the substitutions I've made, I'm reasonably sure this is not going to be a white drink, despite the name White Zombie. But here we go. And in fact, it is not a particularly dark drink. Certainly not a white drink. This is the lesson with substitutions. You have to make concessions for what comes out the other end if you're going to make substitutions. But what I care about more than the colour is the taste. And I haven't even taste tested this one. I'm tasting it for the first time on camera with you. So here we go. What's my white zombie taste like? Pink zombie maybe, but here we go. Honestly, that works. That really works. Sometimes when a drink has a lot of ingredients, nothing distinct comes through, but I can taste some of the different elements in there. I can certainly taste that Navy strength gin I put in, and I get some of the fruit notes from the different elements in there. The pimento dram, the absinthe I can taste. So it is, well, you look, honestly, maybe not the most elegant or highbrow of drinks. There's complexity in there, and there's some decent balance between the ingredients. But yeah, this is the old only drink one or you will become the zombie type of drinks. but it's worth trying every once in a while. Something a little extravagant like a zombie or a Long Island iced tea that's got one of everything in it. This is a kind of one of everything drink, the White Zombie. I'm pretty happy with this. I hope you enjoy seeing that. I'd be very interested if you give this one a go yourself, if you're able to make it without the improvisations I did. But I hope you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already, because then you can see the other colour substitution I'll be doing this week, and of course more videos in the future. So if you subscribe, hit the little bell button so you get notifications, you'll know when I upload videos. I'd love to have you come back, and hey, tell your friends. Let me know in the comments if you're game to try a White Zombie, or if you'll use me as a cautionary tale, I guess. It's no, I definitely like this. Those different elements play together quite well, and you are taking a big risk when you pile that many ingredients into a drink. There's a lot of room for things to go wrong. This one I think went pretty right, but yeah, much like the pina coladas I made, I'm gonna have to not operate heavy machinery, sort of sit down and take it easy while drinking this. It is not a drink to be taken lightly, but I'm glad I've taken it, and I'm glad you were here for it as well. Hope to see you again soon. Cheers.